Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.
And we are live here at the Two Bobs Cast. Welcome to episode 71 and season 2, of course, of the Two Bobs Cast. We are here live on Tuesday night, bringing to you another episode of A to Z Rock and Metal Podcast. I'm here once again with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. H. What's up, Mr. H? How is life?
You got to be old to be legendary. So,
dude, you are kind of old.
You're kind of old.
I know. Well, if you look at your beard, yours is pretty white. Mine is gray, so I'm not quite there yet. Mine is like a darker shade of gray, I think. So that's the 10 years or so I'm behind you. So
is that Grateful Dead or that's
maybe
Touch of Gray.
That's Touch of Gray. Right. Darker shades of gray. What is that? I don't know. I feel like that is the name of an album or a song.
It has to be.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Doing good. I'm home, which is good. We'll see how long that lasts, but
yeah,
so far so good.
Well, home is good. That means things aren't going bad. It means things are improving and at least are solidified. So that's good.
Facts.
Good news. So awesome. We took a little bit of time off because H was doing a little bit of traveling and needed some time to fit in this W band that we are doing. As you can see behind me, the picture of the Whitesnake definitely does not have any connotations whatsoever at all. It's just coincidental. But today we will go through a Whitesnake, the 70s/80s, I guess you could say, spin-off of Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mr. Coverdale, we'll talk all about him.
Oh yeah.
Basically, his main project that he did. I know he did some solo stuff. I know he did a few records with Deep Purple, obviously, and then I know he took a few of the members of Deep Purple with him to work on his Whitesnake project. So we will get into that. What we decided was we were going to stop after the first 8 records. We're not going to include the EP. The EP, again, Mr. H, I think, will get into the EP, but there's really only 4 songs that were Whitesnake. I think a later version of it ended up having some of his solo stuff on there, which made it more of an album, but it didn't really fit into what we wanted to do. So the first 8 actual albums we will be reviewing and we will be ranking as always. So thank you for joining us. Nobody here right now with us. Come join us. Come talk with us. Come help us rank the albums.
We only bite a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a nibble. It's a love bite. Like a nibble.
Yeah. It's just a little nibble. Mr. H, what do you have on Whitesnake?
Whitesnake. All right. Whitesnake started in 1976 as a solo project for Mr. David Coverdale, as you mentioned, out of the Deep Purple. He left and wanted to do less of the hard rock thing that Deep Purple was doing, but got back into doing hard rock again. Weird. But anyway,
eventually.
Yeah, eventually. So there's been many lineup changes and changes in sound with the band. At the beginning, guitarist Mickey Moody and Bernie Marsden and keyboardist John Lord, who was with Deep Purple with him, were with him for a long time in the beginning, kind of until the sound changed. And then his longest serving bass player was Neil Murray, and he's had many drummers, starting with Dave Duck Dowell, and just for 2 albums. And then he had some other great drummers. I mean, Dave Dowell's pretty good too, but he had Ian Pace, Cozy Powell, Tommy Aldridge, like all revered drummers. After a couple of solo albums, the first one was called Whitesnake, which is where Dave says the title of the band actually came from. He wanted it to be called Whitesnake, but the first few shows, I guess they said David Coverdale's Whitesnake. They wanted his name out there because he had some already a good fan base from Deep Purple. So, and then the second one was called North Winds, which you mentioned. There are 4 songs from North Winds on the first EP as Whitesnake, which was called Snakebite. So we typically don't rank EPs, but in my stupidity, I started listening to Snakebite, and I'm like, yeah, this was the first album. And, well, because it's listed as an album, because it has 4 Whitesnake tracks and then 4 reworked David Coverdale solo songs as the second half. So there is 8 songs on it. But anyway, I listened to it. I put a bunch of notes down, so I'm going to go through them.
Go through it.
I'm not going to rank this one. So, but I let Herd know that, and I believe he did the same thing. So, so Snakebite came out in 1978, which is also the same year that the first Whitesnake full album came out, which is the next one we'll cover. So it's not far off. Martin Birch, who had worked with Dave with Deep Purple, produced the EP, the 4 songs, and Roger Glover from Deep Purple also produced 5 through 8, which were the solo songs from Northwinds. It does have kind of the greatest production. It's kind of thin. You know, this is 1978, though, and this is kind of the first go-round for these guys kind of as Whitesnake. It's an album very much of the time, or an EP of the time for me. It has some of that dark, grimy, like late 70s funk R&B feel to it. I liken it to the kind of stuff you hear in the first 2 Rocky movies, right? Like, so when he's walking the streets and goes in the arcade with Paulie or whatever, there's this like cool, like, you know, background grimy kind of funk R&B stuff going on that really sounds kind of cool. And in this case it does too, but it's really not my thing, and the songs aren't that great, but I do kind of like the feel of some of that stuff. So, but it's definitely of its time. I mean, that was definitely late 70s, and that's when this came out. There's also some Zeppelin influence here, of course. I mean, Dave ended up doing things with Jimmy Page later on, and you know, he is very, you know, similar to Robert Plant. And of course, some of this sounds a little bit like Deep Purple too, can be heard in here. But it's good for what it is. It's just not really my thing. And there's not nearly enough like standout guitar work in here. Like, it's with the funk R&B kind of stuff that was going on. Like, it didn't really have a whole lot of guitar in it. Like, it's there, but it's way, way in the background. So, but I did like the songs "Come On," "Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City," which is a Bobby Bland, I believe, remake. And it's pretty good. And it's funny thing, it's on like 3 of these. It's on the solo, it's on here, I think it's on Trouble, like as a bonus track later. Like, it's this song, they really tried to push this one out there, and it's easily the most popular of all the songs of this solo and EP era. That is the most popular one, and it kind of became the kind of Whitesnake theme song. They played it live all the time, and I'm not sure they did later on, like in the late 80s when I was getting to see them, but they did it all the time back in the 70s. They made sure they played that one all the time. And it was a song everybody knew, so, because it was made popular by somebody else. But it is a good remake, I think. Breakdown is okay too. Skippers, I didn't really have any, although it does drag a bit at times here and there. But like I said, I did not rate this one. It's okay for what it is. A couple tracks I like, but most of it just isn't for me. So what did you think of Snakebite real quick before we get in the first album?
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to what you said. I agree with you, and I think kind of the early on stuff, as we'll see, again, it kind of what I expected. You know, a little bit more of the bluesy type stuff. I mean, obviously you got David Coverdale here. He sings phenomenally. Obviously, that's why, at least early on, that's why you're following Whitesnake, right?
Yes.
It's the voice. It's what you love from, you know, like Stormbringer and stuff like that,
Yes.
right? It's just
more on that later.
Yeah, absolutely. But
and throughout.
But yeah, you know, again, it's not bad. But you know, like I said, listening to it, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, it's not bad, you know, for what it is. If you're into this, like, I could see people that's like, I love the bluesy stuff of Whitesnake, and I could see how this could be something you really like. And you know, the first couple albums too, I feel like it's something you could really like. It's a genre thing for me, and I think probably for you too. Good stuff here. I mean, there's a couple really good songs. You mentioned "Come On," "Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City" is great. I know it's a cover, but it's great. Breakdown is good. "Keep on Giving Me My Love" I thought was pretty good. Love, a common theme as we will talk throughout this next hour or so. A lot of love, a lot of love going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, agreed. I'm with you.
Not in the heart of the city, though.
No.
Definitely.
But I'm with you here. Not necessarily my thing, but it's you know, it's a good blues rock fusion type act, and for what it is, I think it sounds fine. So,
did I get that across well? The whole like rocky like theme.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like
it does.
I struggled to try to. I'm like, what can I relate this to that it sounds like in my head?
Yeah.
You know, that's about the only thing I could come up with. I'm like, it just totally reminds me of that. But
yeah,
I was like, I'm not sure if people really, if that really makes sense, or if I'm just sounds like I'm just being an idiot. But anyway, on to October 1978 and the album, the first full album from Whitesnake called Trouble. 10 songs on this one. This is produced by Martin Birch. This is going to go on for a while with Martin Birch. He was there. He's known for many huge acts at the time, especially with Iron Maiden for a very long time. He did, you know, pretty much almost all of their stuff too. So he's been doing this for a long time, and you know, he was even in demand back then in 1978.
Rainbow, White, Black Sabbath,
yes,
Iron Maiden. I think he did like Fleetwood Mac and stuff too.
Yes, the dude.
He was the guy back there, and
he was the guy for sure. Again, not really their first release material, but this is considered their first album. Production again is kind of flat, but there is a little more guitar featured in the EP than in the EP on this album, and Coverdale's vocals are more up front, which totally makes sense because that's why you mentioned that was the draw. He wanted the band to be called Whitesnake, and they were billing it, you know, as in some of these smaller shows he was doing at the beginning as David Coverdale's Whitesnake because they needed to have his name out there, and he just wanted to be called Whitesnake. So, but makes total sense. It's kind of more of a Bad Company type of sound on this.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not too far off with that one.
Nope.
Kind of like I mentioned one track in particular, "Love to Keep You Warm" and "Lie Down." Those two tracks in particular really reminded me a lot of Bad Company, which again makes total sense. That's late 70s, you know. Bad Company was pretty big. So a really cool, funky take on Day Trip.
I loved it.
Cover for the Beatles. Me too, and I had never heard this before. Like, we were talking right before the podcast. I went down a Whitesnake rabbit hole there where I was all into Whitesnake in like 1987, right? So I went back, and my friend down the street's like, "Man, have you heard of Slide It In by them?" And he's like, "You really like them?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Check this out." I'm like, "Wow," I was blown away by that. So I went and bought some of these cassettes that were out. I kept finding more and more. Well, I never got to these first two albums because I kind of got to the point with like the third album where I finally bought that one where I was like, okay, it's starting to get to stuff that really isn't my thing here. And I just never went further. So I never really heard this funky Day Tripper cover, but man, it was fantastic. So I really thought it was good too. Still very much a dated album of the time here, I think, though. Coverdale sounds amazing, though. He elevates anything that he sings on. I mean, the dude's he's amazing. He's one of the best rock singers of all time, in my opinion. He's absolutely amazing. I could listen to him to sing just about anything. Favorites that I don't particularly love or really want to skip anything on here. I just enjoy listening to David Coverdale sing. He's really good. And the best songs to me, if I were to pick some, were probably the title track "Trouble" or "Don't Mess with Me." Those were the two better ones. They're both on the second side two. "Don't Mess with Me" is the last track. Um, Skippers, like I said, I don't really have any skippers, but "Take Me With You" isn't a terrible song. It's not a terrible song, but I can't listen to Dave moaning and groaning like he's just, jamming his microphone in places that you don't want to think about. Like, it's bad. And it makes me want to skip the song, even though the song I don't think is that bad. But I was like, oh, can he please stop doing this? Like, I don't know if that's just recorded for the women or, I don't know what the deal is with there. I mean, because I'm sure most of his fans are probably men, and I don't think any of us really wanted to hear that, or most of us anyway. So it's weird, and it's kind of, I don't know, makes me want to skip it. So this one is a total middle of the road album for me. So I have this one just as a C, number 8. There's nothing I really love or hate. It's just there, and I just love to hear David Coverdale sing stuff. So his voice is so like pleasing to my ears. There's something about it. I just love. Just when he sings, I'm like, yep, I like it. Just sounds so good, except when he's moaning and groaning and stuff. But he's one of the greatest rock singers of all time, in my opinion. So, and this continues on and on and on, and I'll probably mention it a few more times as well. But I have this one as a middle of the road C, and this is number 8 out of the 8 albums we're going to rank. So this is the bottom. So it's all uphill from here, so which is good. But even this one isn't terrible. It's just not totally my thing. So what did you think of Trouble?
Yeah, I think that's what it's all kind of comes down to. I think this is all pretty good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my preface too, is I agree with you that I feel like it's, you look at this as a band, but I think that's where looking at it as a band to me is what kind of blurs the lines. Cause I feel like this is ultimately, most of this is a David Coverdale project, because there's so many different musicians on each one. Not early on. Early on, he's got the same lineup, but it rotates around with so many different guitar players later on. I feel like if I look at this more as his project, and it just kind of changes along the time to what's happening and to the musicians that he has, it helps me rank things a little better, but it's still a tough rank for me, because all of it is at least good because of David Coverdale's voice. Mm-hmm. All of the albums are good. I would not necessarily come back and listen to like this older stuff, but I did not enjoy listening to it. I actually was pleasantly surprised. Trouble, I never had heard a song off of this before in my entire life. So I played it once, listened to it, and I was pretty impressed. I definitely hear the influences of a band like Led Zeppelin, like you mentioned before. And I did the same songs that you did, was like, this sounds a little Bad Company for, for what I'm thinking too. So it does make sense that late 70s British thing that they had, that it was bluesy guitar playing it with these higher registered, like, killer vocals. And, this is phenomenal singing. Throughout. So none of it's bad. I don't even really have a whole lot of skippers across the whole catalog, because honestly, everything is at least the voice is there. There's a couple songs I would say that are borderline like cheesy almost, but other than that, I wouldn't say they're bad songs or I want to skip them. So Lie Down is great. I loved, like you said, Day Tripper. I didn't recognize what it was at first, because when I listen to it, I just have it on, and I'm not writing song titles at first. I always go back and look at them kind of as an afterthought. Like, I want to hear what happens without it. So the song started, and I was like, this sounds familiar. And then I looked down, and sure enough, it was Day Tripper. So I was like, this is pretty cool. But I do like The Time Is Right for Love. I do like the title track, Trouble, is pretty good. And I like the last song, Don't Mess With Me. All pretty good stuff. I'm with you though. It's the bottom for me, but it's still like a C plus. It's pretty good. I think that this brand of Whitesnake gets better as we go. Like I think there's one album for me that's like the top blues album, and there's one album for me that's like the top rock album. But this is just early Whitesnake, and they'll figure it out. But number 8 for me, C plus. And it's gonna, like you said, it's just nowhere to go but up from here. So
Yeah.
but good. Again, this is one of those bands. All 8 albums was enjoyable for me.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, not a lot of skippers for me either. And I like some blues stuff. I need more guitar forward,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, and when they do that, I'm like, okay, now you have my attention. So that is definitely a good improvement on this album over the EP. Okay, on to Love Hunter. So we're a little less than a year later, September 21st, 1979. 10 songs on here. Martin Birch again. We already mentioned that it's funny that David Coverdale initially wanted to distance himself from the hard rock of Deep Purple, but then pretty much by the second album, there's some hard rock stuff right on this one.
Yep.
So I thought it was kind of funny that he wanted to get away from that, but then ultimately kind of went back to it. I do like the production a little more on this one, but it is still 1979, and many artists and producers were not able to get the same sound as, say, like Boston did, which still sounds amazing 50 years later. Like only a few bands, Aerosmith, some of their stuff sounded really good back then. Like only a few groups had really, Van Halen in 1978, like were really able to pull out just ridiculously great sounding stuff that stood the test of time. Like, so this still kind of sounds a little dated, but it does sound better. Like it's improving as time's going on here. This does, it sounds a lot kind of like Rainbow and Deep Purple did back then too, to me. So it's kind of in line with that. So it's not bad. It's just something I just wanted to comment on. The songwriting here is a little more familiar to the Whitesnake sound that we'll hear later. Walking in the Shadow of the Blues is a great example of this. Without the organ or keyboards, but kind of more organ sound, this is a very Whitesnake sounding track. If you kind of strip that off, you're like, man, now that is like right out of 1984, 85, 86 Whitesnake. So there's definitely, they're starting to round into that sound that you're going to hear later. Not all the time. This is still mostly a bluesy record, like you were saying, but there are times where I'm like, yep, there it is. Like you can hear it in there. So, and that's kind of what makes this enjoyable too. I like to hear the growth of a band through this stuff. And it's even better when it's enjoyable listening to, like these all are, like you said. So, I can still use a little less heavy breathing from Dave. It makes me feel yucky. But that's about all I got to say about that. I'll stop talking about that now. Plus, he kind of stops doing it a little bit. I feel like maybe somebody got in his ear and is like, dude, can you kind of knock that off or just tone it down a little bit? My favorites on this one are Walking in the Shadow of the Blues, as I mentioned. Medicine Man, I liked a lot. Great riff and solo on this one, so there's even more guitar in here, which is great. And I like the title track, Love Hunter, as well. Skippers, Help Me Through the Day is one of the few that it is a remake, and it's just a bit boring, as a remake. Like they don't really do much with it. It's just kind of boring, but I still wouldn't skip it. So I have it in the skippers, but it's just my least favorite track on here. But I still wouldn't skip it because it's not super long. It's 4:40. I mean, I guess that's kind of average. So, but it just kind of gets a little boring kind of in the middle. I'm like, okay, let's get to the next one, And then the next one being Medicine Man. So,
Yeah.
it really picked up after that, and I just forgot all about it. So, but I have this one a little bit higher up than the last one, a little bit more of the later on Whitesnake sound in this one, more guitar centric, which is great. I have this one as a C+, and I have this one at number 7. But what did you think of Love Hunter?
Same as you. I definitely, obviously nowhere to go but up. Number 1 was 8 for both of us. So Love Hunter is better. And I actually, I rearranged this so much. That's why I read it. I'm like, this is so tough.
That's funny.
Because I had this ranked higher at first, and I did drop it down a little bit.
Other ones kind of pushed it back down.
Yeah,
they got better, and you're like, ah.
But even like, okay, so I finished listening to them. I listened to them in order, just like you do. So I started with Trouble, and I ended with Slip of the Tongue, and I make an original order, and then I did this over the weekend, and then yesterday I rearranged them, and then today I rearranged them again. I just thinking about them.
So you rearranged them in your ranking, or you rearranged them and listened to them all in a different order?
No, I rearranged the ranking. I only
Okay.
listened to all these albums one time.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
after listening back to back to back to back, basically within a couple days, in order, I had this up higher, but it didn't sit as well with me, and it dropped back down. So I liked this a lot more than the first album. I listened to it, and it just, my initial thought, for some reason, this one really stuck with me. I had it really high, and then I just thought about it, and I was like, man, I like some of these other ones better. But the first track, Long Way From Home, I really like that.
Yeah.
Walking in the Shadow of the Blues, like you said, is really good.
Yeah.
Just those first two, maybe that's why. I mean, that album kicked up on fire for me. And Medicine Man, I also like. I like Mean Business, the title track, Love Hunter. I mean, this is a pretty solid album. I also like that this is 10 songs. A few of them are, a little higher on the 4-minute range, but I mean, the good, solid, we're not, later on, they're going to have more songs and longer songs and, good and the bad with that. But
the 40 minutes, 41 minutes. Yeah, that's perfect. Right?
Perfect. So it was very enjoyable, very listened to. So I will say that I had it higher, but I actually settled down at number 6 for this one for me. I do like it. It's really, really good, but I just, after listening to other ones and letting it sit, just this era is just not my favorite. It's not, I like the blues stuff mixed in. Obviously, Led Zeppelin is one of my dad's favorite bands, one of my favorite bands, kind of by proxy, and they're very blues. Obviously, like you said, Jimmy Page, and after they do Slip of the Tongue, they do their one album, and then I loved it. I loved that album that they did.
That's really good.
So he's good at singing over the rock/blues stuff, and that's this is good. But again, they get better for me when we talk about blues rock albums. So Love Hunter number 6, I have it, B minus. A lot of them are in that B minus range. So Love Hunter number 6 in a B minus.
All right, on to Ready and Willing. There's a lot of ands in here too that he likes to an apostrophe. Like, it seems like that keeps showing up all over the place. But Ready and Willing, May 23rd, 1980. There are 9 songs on this album. Martin Birch again producing. Ian Pace in on drums for Dave Dowell on this one. I remember digging this album up again, like I said, much later. This is as far back as I went when I was buying like the older cassettes and stuff, trying to get some Whitesnake back catalog, because I kept buying them and I kept liking them. And I'm like, man, when's this going to end? So, but it kind of ended here for me. But again, I became a Whitesnake fan and was blown away, by the original version on this album of Fool for Your Loving, like right away. Like, I love that song. This album opens with that song, and I loved it right away. I'm like, wow, what a great song that is. Having not even heard, like, this is 1987, so they did re-release it on Slip of the Tongue in 1989, but I hadn't even heard that version. I just loved this version.
Yeah.
And then, they improved it later. But, I mean, it's a great song, and I still love this old version too, with the awesome bass line that's so prevalent. Like, I hear you, Neil Murray. I hear you in there. Like, hell yeah, man. That's really, really good stuff that gets buried on the remake of it later. But he really sounds awesome on this album. Neil Murray does, or on this song in particular. There's too many slow spots in this album for me, though. I love it when it rocks, but it doesn't rock a lot. There's definitely some slow spots in here. Blind Man is a song that was re-recorded from David Coverdale's first solo album, which was Whitesnake. But my favorites on here are Fool for Your Loving, Sweet Talker, Ready and Willing, another title track. That's 3 in a row, 3 albums, 3 title tracks. I like all 3 of them. Skippers, none. Again, it's just slow in spots, and it gets a little dull here and there. But as we mentioned, the last album was 41 minutes. This one's 40 minutes, so none of these songs are long. There's only 9 on this one, so they're slightly longer. But it gets a little slow. But then listening to Dave sing, it just makes it go by faster. So even on the stuff that's a little more dull for me, like I still enjoy listening to him. So this I have. Again, one spot up again. This kind of continues on for a little bit for me, but I have this as a C plus. I have this as number 6, C plus, B minus. So we're kind of still tracking upwards. This one is decent, just like the other two, but with more kind of slow ballady type tracks than previous to kind of drag it down a little bit. But with "Fool for Your Loving" on here, I just love that song so much. Again, there's not bad songs on here. It just kind of bores me a little bit here and there. So, which can happen. So anyway, "Ready and Willing" I have as a B minus, C plus, number 6. What did you think?
So this one I liked a lot more, and I moved this one up, and this one stayed up. To me, this is the elite version of Whitesnake doing blues rock. This is, to me, I think, the best produced / songwriting for me. And while it is slow at times, I think the songwriting is better here. And this is this album really stood out to me in the front half of the catalog for that reason. Yes, "Fool for Your Loving" is great. "Sweet Talker," "Ready and Willing" is great. "Blind Man" is really good. "Ain't Gonna Cry No More." "She's a Woman." I mean, some of these songs are slower, have slow parts to them, but man, the way he croons through those songs, it really kind of makes you, I don't know. I feel like he's really gotten strong as a songwriter from here on out. I think that's kind of the difference for me. But even at the end of it, and I moved a few of these albums back after listening to some of the later stuff, this one kind of stuck for me. I'm like, this one really has a feeling to me that it's like a really important album for them. It feels like the songwriting has finally gotten more peak performance, I guess. Coverdale's always sounds good. But I like a lot of some of the guitar solos on this are phenomenal. But I like "Ready and Willing" a lot. This one is all the way up to number 3 for me. I really think this one is the elite version of the first half of their catalog. Like, no doubt about it. I do think they come on a little stronger later, but they get heavier. It's more rock, like hardly any blues. So to me, it's almost a separate. It's hard, and that's where I made my comment. It's hard to judge this against like 1987. It's hard to put these albums against each other. It's not the same type of music. It's Coverdale's voice with a different band, a different direction, a different everything, like different production, different. It's a different. This was 1980, right? It's just a different time.
It's a genre preference, basically,
is.
like what you said. Like if you like blues more than you like the heavier hard rock metal stuff, then you're gonna like these albums way more than you're gonna like the later stuff. It's just
Yep. But this one is my, like I said, my elite version of their early stuff. So "Ready and Willing" is number 3 for me, and I have it like a B plus. Again, all these are real close. B plus, B. They're all really, really close, and David Coverdale's the reason for that. I say it over and over. I could listen to him talk or sing for a week, and I basically did. So, "Ready and Willing," number 3.
Yep. And like you said, like he can croon. He'd be a good country singer. Like I mean, the dude can sing anything. I mean, he can sing just whatever he wants to. And I'm happy that he sang, in like kind of my favorite type of music. Ultimately, later on. So, which is great for me. But honestly, the dude could have sang anything, and he'd been amazing at it. He's just that good. All right, on to "Come and Get It," April 11th, 1981. There's 10 songs on this one. Martin Birch once again. Still sounds good, same as the previous couple albums. They're coming out quickly here. I wonder if Martin Birch just kind of leaves everything set where it was from the last album. They just walk in and like, okay, plug in, let's go. Because it just like it almost maybe it was almost easy if he just had notes of where he had everything set. They could just walk in the studio and adjust everything where he had it, and this comes out the same. So I wanted to make special mention of "Don't Break My Heart Again" on this album. That is a killer song. It's a great song. It just sounds dated. This is the kind of song that, had it gotten the upgrade of the glam metal kind of treatment that, that later albums had, the later 80 album, like, man, could have been a huge hit for them. Like so many of those other songs. I mean, there's songs they didn't even release to radio that could have been huge singles. I feel like they kind of missed some sales by not releasing some songs that we'll get to later. But this one, I'm like, man, what a great song that one is. And I had forgotten that I did really like that song from way back years ago, because I haven't listened to this album in a while. But that one really stands out to me. But this is a pretty hit or miss album for me. This one isn't kind of. I have some skippers. I have more skippers on this one than I have on any other album. It's just it's kind of, I really like it, or this was where things kind of get goofy, like you were saying. So I was like, I don't really like that. There's some experimenting with some different styles here that I just didn't get. It doesn't sound real good. But my favorites are "Come and Get It." The first track, "Don't Break My Heart Again." Again, what a great song. I can't say that enough. It's just such a good song. Skippers, though, "Hot Stuff" is kind of dull. It's up tempo, but it isn't really their style. It just doesn't fit. And "Wine, Women, and Song," I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. I struggled with whether to even put this in as a skipper. It's just, I don't know. Something about it kind of bugs me, and I can't put my finger on it. And then the song "Girl" is just dumb. It's just a dumb song. And I don't. That might be the least favorite song I have of all of Whitesnake's albums. Here is that one song. I really don't like that one at all, and that's probably the only one I can really say that I'm like, yeah, this song is just no good. But I have this as kind of a B minus. Again, it's really close with all these albums. I have this one at number 5, even though, looking back, I could easily put Ready and Willing at number 5 and move this one to number 6. I have them rated kind of the same, B minus, somewhere in there. But again, this one isn't as even like that album. There's not really any skippers in there. It's just all kind of good. This one, it has some better highs, but the lows are kind of low. It's just kind of all over the place. So I struggled with rating these two, but I have this one as of right now, number 5, B minus. Again, some of it I really like, some of it I really didn't. So what did you think of "Come and Get It"?
Yeah, after the high of Ready and Willing, for me, this was a disappointment. It didn't feel basically what you're saying. I think there's a lot of songs here that I just feel like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's the fact that they're putting out an album a year, right? Where we've talked about this before. I don't know. I just, to me, it feels like they put all their good written songs in the last album, and this one I feel like it's like half and half, where some of these songs are just real cheese. Like I told you, this was kind of the warning I had coming up was, and you nailed it. "Hot Stuff" and "Wine, Women, and Song" and "Girl." Like, these are songs I would never, ever come back to.
Yeah.
And most of the first 3 albums, I would say there's a lot of stuff I would at least come back to, or if it was on, I would dig it. If it was, if it just came on or whatever. But this album is like the first one that I'm just like, It's well produced, and there are some good highs on here. I do like "Come and Get It," like you said. "Don't Break My Heart Again" is great. But after these highs, to me, I feel like there's more lows. So for me, this album was quite a disappointment. I had it down at number 7. To me, it was on par with the first album, but the first album songs I think are even better than this. I think there's just so many stinkers here that it drags it down for me. So yeah, number 7, B minus. I have like same place you do, but with me, I just have it towards the bottom. So number 7 is where it fits for me.
Like, number wise, like, I have them all ranked so close to this thing. It's so hard to put them in any kind of order and say this one's better than that one.
It's hard.
Really, they aren't. It was like, it's kind of like 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Did you just say 6, 7?
I did. Then a 5, 6, 7, 8 were kind of all like, I don't know. I could just shuffle them around and put them anywhere, and I'd have been fine with it. It was just so hard. Anyway, "Saints and Sinners," 1982, November 15th. 10 songs on this one. Martin Birch, again. This is a bit more modern sounding album. This is kind of where they're starting to blend the bluesiness with a bit more modern sound and kind of fading the keys a little bit. Not as much organ, not as much John Lord in this one. As great as he is to adding things. I mean, I really do enjoy listening to him. The Deep Purple stuff, this Whitesnake stuff. Like, I really do think he adds a lot to the feel, and he's really, really talented musician. But I like the more modern sound, and this is kind of where that really starts for me in here. So a couple of these songs were remade later to great effect, obviously.
Yep.
And again, Dave, I'm going to say it again. Dave continues to sound amazing. Like, what a voice this dude has had at this point for what, like 10 years already at this point? Like, from Deep Purple in like the early to mid 70s, or even, like up till 1982. Like, this dude, it just continues on. Like, there's no slowing this dude down, at least at this point.
Yep.
But man, it's just, the guy continues to amaze me how great he is. And he knows it too, of course. So, but I think that becomes a sticky thing a little bit later, actually, really soon here. But we'll get into some of that too. My favorites on this one are Victim of Love. I love the original version of Crying in the Rain, which is on the 1987 album. It opens that album, and I love that song. I love this older version of it too. Here I Go Again, which is, of course, also on the 1987 album, is on this album too. And it's pretty similar to that. It just sounds a little more dated, not as modern sounding, but it's still a great song. And again, there's no skippers on this one at all. This was kind of one that I went back to even further than my buddy had to slide it in. I went back and found this one. I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this one too. So this was kind of my thing. Like, he didn't have this one. I went back and bought this one, and I'm like, have you heard this one? So we talked about that, and I remember that, and this was one I really got into. So there's no skippers on here. This is number 4 for me, and only because the next 3 are so great that I just can't rate this one above those 3. But this was definitely easily number 4 for me. This is kind of in its own spot here. The next 3 all kind of are in their own universe in some ways. This one kind of sits there above the other 4 for me. But this one is, again, it's not great, but it's a really solid album. I have this as just a solid B and number 4. And I like the slightly more modern feel on this one, along with the bluesy stuff. So B, number 4. What did you think of Saints and Sinners?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to you on this one. I agree with you. I think what hurts it for me and drops it a little further for me is just the fact that a fifth of this album is songs that are done better later. I feel like at least modernized, right? Like you said, the production gets way better. So that hurts it a little bit for me. I think other than, because I feel like I can't rate those 2 songs on this album. I almost feel like I'm just dealing with an 8-track album here. So
yeah. And some of that's a little nostalgia for me too, like
that makes sense. Yeah,
I'm going back and listening to this, like the original versions. I was like, this is so cool. There's other versions of these songs I love, So
yeah,
and some of it's kind of that. So I totally get it.
Well, for sure, and right. Again, so I've never listened to this album before. Like the first album I ever listened to by them is the next one. So everything before the next album is all a one time. So for me, putting it on, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Like, it's a song, but it doesn't sound right to me, because right to me is the version I've heard a million times. Right. So I do like the opening Young Blood. I do like Rough and Ready. A Victim of Love is really, really good. And I really like the title track. I know we talk about the title track a lot.
Yes, a lot of good ones, though.
The closing, Saints and Sinners,
that's a good one.
is a really good track too. So I really, really I agree with you. It's a good album. For me, it's number 5. So right alongside what you're saying. I couldn't rank it any higher. Like I said, a fifth of the album to me is just songs that they do better later. Obviously, that shows in the ranking coming up. But this is a good, solid, middle of the road album as far as their catalog. It's better to me than a lot of their I guess a lot of their previous stuff, you could definitely tell they're going in another direction. But I actually have Ready and Willing ranked higher because I feel like it's a better album for that style of music than what this is for this style of music. I think they get better from here doing the more modern hard rock type stuff. So Saints and Sinners for me, like I said, is like 5, and we'll go B to a B plus.
All right. On to the greatness now. We get to slide it in here. We're gonna slide it. We're gonna slide it in right here.
No
January 30th, 1984. Who knows what version of that? I believe that's the U.S. mix version. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into some of that here. 10 songs. Martin Birch originally produced the UK version of this with the guys from the Saints and Sinners lineup. And then, except for Cozy Powell, comes in and brought a bass player with him. And then Neil Murray gets brought back to redo the bass parts. But anyway, then it was kind of remixed and by Keith Olsen on the U.S. release that was demanded by Geffen, who had signed them after Dave fired management and brought in John Kolodner, and he's managed a ton of bands. But he got them onto Geffen, and Geffen just needed them to put more effort into getting this in, fitting this into the kind of emerging like U.S. Hard rock, metal, glam scene. So they brought in Keith Olsen and also re-recorded guitar and bass with John Sykes and Neil Murray. They brought Neil Murray back, and John Sykes is absolutely blows the lid off. I mean, this dude's amazing. The change in the middle of the producing of this album to the kind of slick modern style changed Dave and the band's fortunes in a huge, huge way. I mean, they weren't struggling. They were big in the UK, but they weren't really breaking through in the US until this remix came out. I mean, and I'm a huge, huge fan of the Olsen US mix of this album and of John Sykes' guitar playing. Everything about it sounds better, and it refreshes the entire album. I have both copies. I have the original UK on cassette, the UK version, and I have the US remix on CD. So I mean, when I went back and got slided in, I just bought the first one I could find that happened to be the UK version on cassette. So I didn't know there was another version. And then my buddy told me, he's like, I think you got the wrong one. I think we're listening to it in my car. And he's like, you need to get the other one. I'm like, the other one? So he's like, yeah, and you can tell the difference. It's pretty big. But he finally got John Sykes to join him after pursuing him from Thin Lizzy for some time. But Mickey Moody, I don't like the way Dave kind of treated Mickey Moody on the way out. Mickey Moody was his original guitar player that he brought in when he first started his solo band, and he had been a songwriting partner and guitarist right from the beginning. And then, Dave kind of did him dirty on the way out because, Mickey also said that he kind of felt the band was going in a different direction. Even with the stuff that he had recorded on this album, he felt that it was kind of going a different way. And he wasn't sure he wanted to continue. But then as Dave had John Sykes and they had all these people around and other band members, other musicians around, and he kind of disrespected him by kind of chastising him and kind of, bitching at him about how he turned his back from the audience or something. And like Mickey Moody has a whole story about how all this happened. And then when he said, all right, and this was all kind of to impress John Sykes, who he was talking to, he's kind of dissing his old guitar player. And then when Mickey Moody decided he was going to leave and he wanted to say goodbye to all the guys, and he called like a band meeting. Some of these guys he had played with for a long time,
Yeah.
And Dave decided he couldn't be bothered to come and be part of this. So he, basically said goodbye to all the rest of the band. And Dave, they even asked, he's like, is Dave coming? And they're like, nah, he's got some other obligations. He's not going to join us. And I'm like, man, for a guy who had been with him for 9 years, and being the first guy that he got in and all these all these live shows, like to just not even care. Like, I don't know, that's kind of shitty. And I love David Coverdale as a singer, but him as a guy, it kind of goes down a bad path here a little bit for him. Like, it's just, man, I can't believe you do that to a guy that's been your right hand man basically since day one. I don't know. So that kind of makes me sad. But anyway, so John Sykes is brought in, and he is absolutely amazing. My favorites on this one are Slide It In. Love Ain't No Stranger is one of my favorite Whitesnake songs. Like, it's so good. It's everything about it is absolutely amazing. And I can't believe that's one that didn't get like the remake treatment. Slow and Easy's a great song. All or Nothing's a great song. Hungry for Love, I love that song. Again, here we got all the love, right? Love Ain't No Stranger, Hungry for Love, Guilty of Love. There's so many love songs everywhere. But dude, these songs all rock, man. They're so good. Hungry for Love's great. Guilty of Love is one of my favorite Whitesnake songs, and I wish it was another one that I wish could have gotten the even better, like heavier, slicker treatment later on that didn't. But man, it still sounds so good on this album. It's such a great, like, little catchy guitar riff. Like, once it gets in my head, like for weeks I'll have that stuck in my head. Same with like the beginning of Love Ain't No Stranger, like Dave singing, oh dude, it's so good. It's so good. But anyway, I love so many songs on this album. There's definitely nothing here I would skip whatsoever. I mean, the weakest track for me is probably Gambler at the very beginning here, but even that one I kind of like. But I just love so much of the rest of this album. I can't say enough about how much I love it. So there's no skippers. I have this as kind of an A- range, B+. I have this at number 2, and these two of these three were hard for me to rank. Two of these next three. One kind of stands alone by itself, but the other two were really close, and I did flip flop the 2. I had this at 3, and then I made it 2, and I made the other one 3. So that basically tells you where I'm at with those two also. But I really, really like this album. I couldn't believe when I heard it was, and I couldn't believe that I was blown away so much by the '87 album, and then went back to this. That I couldn't believe I'd never heard this stuff before. Like, that my buddy was, I'm like, I didn't even know there was another album, and it's so good. I'm like, how? It's just because it never broke in the U.S., right? There was not like a lot of videos. It wasn't everywhere in my face and in my ears all the time. It wasn't getting played on the radio. Like, I would never have heard of this if my buddy didn't tell me about it. And it's so good. I'm like, how have I not heard these songs? Again, Love Ain't No Stranger and Guilty of Love are still two of my favorite Whitesnake songs, and it's just. This album's great, man. And I really enjoyed listening to it. I made sure I listened to both versions of it just because I wanted to hear the differences again and just so I can comment on them. But it's just so good, and I enjoyed listening to them both times. So anyway, what did you think of Slide It In? I have number 2, A-.
Yeah, John Sykes is the game changer for me. It was the thing that he needed to get the riff. Yeah. Again, and not that there wasn't a lot of great riffs early on in the catalog, but for me, like, these rat riffs are unmatched. Like, it's exactly what Coverdale needed as like a sidekick, right? And it's everything. So, I mean, for me,
no disrespect to Mickey Moody,
no, but we're talking about styles of music.
Yes,
John Sykes is of like Thin Lizzy and those type. He's just, the dude is just phenomenal. So again, I already knew where this was going to rank basically before I even listened to the albums. My top few didn't ever change, but I love this album. I loved it before. I've had a lot of time with it. I actually, when I listened to this time, I listened to like the 2009 remastered whatever version of it, because I had listened to the other versions so many times. But Slide It In, man, is the number one, as a first track on. I know Gambler's number 1 for the UK release, but yeah, Slide It In opening for the US. Slow and Easy, like you said, Love Ain't No Stranger is so good. All or Nothing, Spit It Out, Standing in the Shadow. I mean, these legendary riffs. Really yeah, so good, good. So
it's weird they changed the track listing, on the 2 versions too. I did find that strange too. I was like, why?
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I guess you have time. I guess I wonder how many times bands would, after so many years, go back and change the order if they could. I've definitely made comments before, like the flow of an album sometimes hurts it,
Sure.
where you might have some slow songs, like kind of cutting the pace of it, or whatever, right? And I feel like the actual U.S. version of this, not only does it sound better, but to me the order of it flows better. I like Gambler better in the middle than I did at the front.
Yeah.
Slide It In as the opening track of the album to me is a much better choice. No doubt about it. So
Yeah.
that song is just kind
Keith
of
Olsen, man.
killer. Yeah.
You know, he
Yep.
really did this album great. He really did.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, I really love this album. And again, before we even said we were going to do Whitesnake, I knew this was going to be my number 2 album, because it's the second best Whitesnake album, and to me, I don't even think it's close. Where you kind of struggled between this and the last one that we're going to do,
Yeah.
I struggled at none at all. Like, this is solid 2, the next one solid 1, of course, to kind of spoil it, but
Yeah.
Slide It In is my second favorite Whitesnake album. It's an A. It's a solid A album for me.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Whitesnake is basically 2 albums, and that for me is just what I prefer. The right amount of production, the right sound, the right guitar, the right voice. They almost have 2 almost perfect albums to me, and Slide It In is number 2 and a solid A for me.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Slip of the Tongue. Of course, that's also, I was 17,
Yeah.
I had gone to see them a million times every time they came here, Blossom, Coliseum, everywhere. So I originally came into this thinking that possibly that would be my number 2 until I listened to the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, this really isn't as good, which is why I switched it. Which,
Yeah.
You're right. It kind of really isn't close because there's some clunkers on that one, but just in my head, I remembered it being so good, and it really
It's the
isn't
nostalgia for sure.
yeah,
for sure.
but I fully realized that when I had to do the rankings of these, and I was like, yeah. And it wasn't like I talked to you, and I'm like, he's right. Like I just,
Yeah.
you just come to that realization on your own, and you just listen to it. I'm like, God, that album really isn't anywhere near as good as this one is. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, on to the great one, and the one that we both knew that was going to be our number 1. I mean, people would be calling us all kind of idiots if we didn't have this number 1. I mean, it's one of the biggest albums of the entire '80s. It's up there with Hysteria and Slippery When Wet. Like
100%.
This one's up there. It's as an iconic album. So 1987, self-titled Whitesnake. Some people call it 1987, so that you don't get confused with Dave's original solo album, which is Whitesnake, 2 words, but some people just call this 1987. So this was March 16th, 1987. There's 9 songs on this one. And there's even some great bonus tracks that aren't on here. There's one song in particular that I have heard so many times. Like, I feel like, I'm like, how is that one not on this album? I don't understand because I've heard it so many times, but it's true. But anyway, the production. Let's start there. The production on this one. This is Mike Stone and Keith Olsen. The production is insanely good on this album. It is insanely good. The guitar tone is insane. And so many of these songs, it's so good. And that slight reverb on the vocals just enhances Dave's already ridiculous vocals.
Yep.
And to think that he wasn't even sure he would ever sing again in the middle of making this album, due to surgery and rehab after like a serious sinus infection that he had, kind of destroyed his voice. The atmospherics and cello strings, like in the middle of Still of the Night before the solos, is absolute brilliant. Absolute brilliance from David Coverdale.
Yep.
He got that from the one bonus track. Was it Lonely? Looking for Love. So Looking for Love starts with, and this isn't even on, it's not even one of the 9 songs. This is the one that I was saying. I've heard the song so many times, I feel like it's on this album. But he was kind of experimenting with some atmospheric stuff at the beginning of that one. And then put this, decided to put this cello thing in here on Still of the Night. And it's absolute brilliance, man. This is one of those albums that I wore out in every conceivable way. I could not get enough of this in 1987 and 1988. I'm 15 years old again. Every time I hear this album, it's just banger after effing banger after effing banger.
Yep.
And then Is This Love, which is, I'm not a huge ballad guy, but that's a fantastic ballad. It was originally written for Tina Turner, which I didn't know until I was doing the research for this album, which is amazing. I didn't even know that. And it's one of the best power ballads of the seemingly millions of them that were in the 80s. Because it has like a dark killer like feel to it, you know? It's
grimy and like
it's
in the
so
streets.
Good. Yes, it's so good, man. And the videos obviously helped that as well, you know, with Tawny and all that. But it's just everything about this was so good and so well done. The videos, the music, the production, the guitars, like everything about it was amazing. It's basically it's perfection. So this is as close to perfect as you can get in the 80s for me. Every song on this album could have been a hit, in my opinion. This is like a tiny bit of time, stars aligned perfection that can just never be duplicated. Like this album took forever to make. With Dave being sick, he was broke. The band was stopped getting paid. John Sykes left right after recording this. They had this huge fight. He didn't even tour. Then he had to get new guys into tour. And he had Adrian Vandenberg and Vivian Campbell, who are amazing guitar players too. Like it's just everything just kind of falls into place. It's just you almost can't even imagine how this could have happened. But it all comes out just absolutely amazing. Now there's so many hits on this one that I love those songs too. But I just went with the deeper cuts for my favorites. I love Bad Boys. Give Me All Your Love might be my favorite song, or Children of the Night. One of those two is probably my favorite song on this album. I like those two. And I love Still the Night. I love, Here I Go Again even, and everybody's heard that song probably too many times. But like Still the Night, I can never turn off even when I hear it, even today, even though I've heard it a billion times. But Children of the Night and Give Me All Your Love are just ridiculous. I love like all the dive bombs and like all the stuff, all that slick stuff that John Sykes did recording this. It's just absolutely perfect and amazing. Straight for the Heart is another really good song. It's very kind of Guilty of Love sounding, which I mentioned at the end of Slide It In. I love that song. This one, Straight for the Heart, kind of reminds me of that too. Even the last song, Don't Turn Away, like people kind of bag on that sometimes that it's not as good. Dude, that could have been a hit song too if they released, I swear. It's just, that song gets stuck in my head too. I like them all. I really do. There's no way I'm skipping anything on this album ever. It's one of those ones, like I said, once I turn it on, I can't turn it off. I have to listen to the whole album because it's just great song after great song. And I keep hearing these songs. I'm like, this one's great. I can't turn any of them off. So I have to listen to the whole thing. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. Incredible production, guitar work, songwriting. It takes me right back to 1987. I'm not sick of a single moment of it. I still love the whole thing. A+, number one. What did you think of 1987?
I don't know that I can say a whole lot more than what you just said.
Yeah, I said a lot. I probably shouldn't have.
No, it's
in there. I love it.
It makes for not, I guess maybe not the best podcasting, but it sure makes for the best music. That's for sure. Yeah, this is. It's funny. So I'm sitting, before we do our podcast all the time, I sit here with my wife and we talk about it. And it's like, who you doing tonight? And, if she doesn't know who they are, she's like, play a few songs. And so sure enough, she's like, who you doing tonight? And I'm like, Whitesnake. And she's like, can you play for me a few Whitesnake songs? And I just start going through this album and she's like, oh yeah. Yep. Love this one.
Awesome.
It's just, again, everybody knows these songs. If you lived in the 80s, you definitely know all these songs. Man, it's, like you said, the production is just, it's out of this world. It's like the perfect marriage for these type of guitars with his vocals. And the vocals are like, literally like butter. It's so, like, you set a big chunk of butter on a hot piping roll and it just soothes in there. That's what my brain feels like turning this on. Yeah, it's so good to me. Bad Boy. I think Whitesnake opens up with Bad Boys basically every time they play. I mean, it's such a great song. And Crying in the Rain, of course, is so good. Still the Night is the best Whitesnake song, and I'm pretty much not going to listen to anybody else's opinion about it. It's the perfect 80s heavy metal glam rock song. It's perfect. Like, the guitar riff is so good. Like you said, that slow part in the middle with the cellos, it builds to it's so good.
And then it
And
double solos right after that. I
yes,
mean,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
gosh,
it's nuts.
it's so good.
Yep. And I know you're a big Lizzie Hale fan, but her covering Still the Night, I love that too. That was a excellent cover.
Yes,
So
I agree.
but Here I Go Again, Is This Love? Everybody knows these songs, and you know what, people might complain about that. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that rag on Whitesnake because of probably those two songs, but it really is a perfect album, and those are really the two slow songs. Like Here I Go Again isn't even really a slow song. It's a builder upper.
Yeah.
But every song on here is good. You mentioned Children of the Night and Straight for the Heart and Give Me All Your Love. These are great, great songs. So again, I just talked and repeated basically everything you said in order to say what I wanted to say. So A+, I agree. Perfect album of the time. Easy number one. I don't know that there's been too many that we've done that's been an easier number one for me. It was A+ and number one before I started listening, and after it was just nothing even compares. So 1987 for me, easy A+ and an easy number one.
Yeah. Good build to it though with Slide It In, like
yeah.
Not the like yeah, we know in hindsight now we knew it was coming, but man, ugh,
yeah.
so good. All right, so on to a bit of a letdown now with Slip of the Tongue. So November 7th, 1989. As I said, John Sykes left. Vivian Campbell was gone at this point, so we had Adrian Vandenberg. And then he goes on and gets Steve Vai, which is pretty amazing all in itself. Like, he adds his own flavor to this album as well. So this one sounds quite a bit different, but it's still good, in my opinion. It's still top three for me. This is November 7th, 1989. There's 10 songs on here. You got Mike Klink and Keith Olsen on this one. The first thing I put on here as I was listening to it is, how do you top what Whitesnake was in 1987? And I put, you don't.
Right.
You just
Basically,
don't.
you don't.
You can't. A good effort, and more killer guitar version courtesy of Steve Vai, but just not anywhere near up to that level of the last album. Few albums could ever achieve that, obviously. So, Deeper the Love for me is another solid power ballad. I thought that I used to like it a lot more than I do now, but I still do like the song. But I was like, oh, that's right, this one's got Deeper the Love on it. I really like that one. And I listened to it, I'm like, okay, I don't like it as much as I used to, but it's still a good song. Slowpoke Music, where I don't really think it's generally a great song, but this one is the one that really showcases what Steve Vai can do. He does so many funky signature Steve Vai things in this song. It's like he puts every little trick that he does on guitar that nobody else does into this song. It's crazy, just like in the verses and the chorus, and just all the time. It's like that song is just a Steve Vai show off song. It's a showcase song for him. Like I said, the song itself isn't even that great, but he's amazing in that one. There's some real serious Zeppelin influence here also on Judgment Day and Sailing Ships in particular, that probably in part led to the whole Coverdale Page collaboration later. Yep. I mean, yes, he sounds a lot like Robert Plant, but in those two songs in particular sound like they were just ripped right out of Zeppelin's catalog. So, and I love both of those songs too. So my favorites were Judgment Day again. But my two favorites are Wings of the Storm and the remake of Fool for Your Loving. Like you were saying earlier, this one got the upgrade here. I was happy to see it again in an upgraded version. I absolutely love it. And I really do like Sailing Ships too. It's an underrated, really good song that closes out this album. It's really slow, but it's really Zeppelin-esque as far as Dave singing like Robert Plant, just with kind of this quiet music underneath it. It just showcases his voice, and the man can just, now we're talking 16, 17 years later, the man can still sing just like nobody else. So I really like Sailing Ships a lot too. So no skippers on here for me, although this isn't anywhere near as good as the last album, but no skippers. I had this one as a B plus. Again, I had Slide It In as an A minus. I had this one as a B plus. Number 3. I like it less than Slide It In, but nothing will ever touch 1987. So, what did you think of Slip of the Tongue?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Again, I have it ranked pretty high. I have it ranked number 4. That's my spot left. And the reason I didn't have it 3 is I gave Ready and Willing again.
Yeah.
I looked at 2 different types of music, and I saw one is at the top of their game, and this one I don't think they were at the top of their game. I actually think and again, I'm glad you kind of quantified it earlier, because I can totally see that when this came out in 89, of the time, and a lot of people have said this from what I've heard, is I loved this when it came out, but then maybe kind of like we were talking with Motley Crue a few weeks ago. This one feels like
not in a cringy way, though.
No.
Girls is cringy now. This one isn't like that, but it definitely doesn't hold up. You're right.
It doesn't hold up.
Like
Listening to it, and again, I'm a little familiar with some of this. It isn't all brand new to me like every other album, but to me, this one I actually was really hard on when I first listened. And remember when I said I shuffled the order like 3 times? Yeah. This one moved up the charts.
Down there.
Yeah, like I was like, it's better than Love Hunter, and it's better than Come and Get It. Like I was trying to talk myself into like, man, this doesn't hold up at all. But ultimately, the guitar riffs are better. The production sounds pretty damn good. It just, to me, it doesn't sound as much like a Whitesnake album. Like it sounds a little. I mean, it just, maybe that Coverdale doesn't sound like the main thing here to me. Like he still sounds great, but I feel like Steve Vai is the reason I like this one more than every other album. I would say David Coverdale, but there's some good riffs here. Obviously, Steve Vai is awesome. But to me, it feels more like a Steve Vai album than a Whitesnake album to me. And maybe that's a personal thing for me. Maybe that's just a personal opinion. But like there's a few of these songs like Kitten's Got Claws, right? Where like, I'm not a big fan of this, but like I'm listening to it and I'm hearing like some great like Hendrix style riffs in there, right? And to me, it's like, this is pretty good stuff to me. But again, it's the guitar stuff. I don't love the song or the songwriting in it. I like the guitar parts in it.
Yeah.
But Slip of the Tongue, the title track, is really, really good. Obviously, this version of Full for Your Loving is way better, I think. And again, it's probably just because it's more current.
It's updated. It's better guitar work and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Wings of the Storm is probably one of my favorite songs off here. I think you said the same thing.
Easily,
And Judgment Day. Yeah, like those are good. Slowpoke music, okay.
Yeah.
That's another
again,
one.
that's like a Steve Vai thing. Like I just love the Steve Vai show off, and they're like the song's is nothing, but he's amazing in it. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a little squeal that Steve Vai does like nobody else does, and here's this little bend that Steve Vai does that nobody else does. You know?
And that's I think that's the point that I'm trying to make is a lot of this album. I'm like, that was sweet. Oh, it was a Steve Vai part. I'm not as much saying, the last album, while John Sykes I think is awesome. There was still like the butter voice of David Coverdale is coming through. And in this one, I just feel like the songs aren't as good. And I'm finding myself clinging more onto the music than I am the songwriting or the singing. So again, I'm not trying to belittle it. It's still number 4 for me. It's still a really good album. It's like a B+ for me. And again, I was harder on it when I first went through, and I was like, all right, let's settle down here. This is one of their better albums. I was like ready to
put the hammer away.
I think at one point I had it like number 6 or something like that, and I'm like, whoa, Nelly, let's pull the truck back a little bit. So, Slip of the Tongue, number 4 and a B+. It's not bad. It's more of the time. I don't love all the songs, but there's enough on it between Steve Vai and Dave Coverdale that I think it's a pretty solid album.
Yeah. You had to have liked the Zeppelin-esque stuff. I know you mentioned Judgment Day. Did you like Sailing Ships?
Yeah.
Did you get the same kind of Zeppelin vibe off of that one that I did?
Yep, for sure.
I feel like that's just an underrated song. Like I kind of forgot that was on here just because it's kind of there at the end and it's a slow one. But then I started listening to it. I'm like, I remember this one. Like, I really do like this song. So
Yeah,
but I figured, if anything, I knew you'd like the Steve Vai stuff, but I figured you'd
I do. Yeah,
really
I do.
appreciate the Zeppelin-esque stuff of just those two songs. The rest of it doesn't sound like Zeppelin, but those two songs in particular do.
Yeah, there's a lot of different styles in here, and I do give him credit for that. I mean, there's like Steve Vai is Steve Vai, but he plays a lot of stuff, and sometimes it'll sound like I said, Jimi Hendrix, right? And there's sometimes he'll reel in some Chuck Berry type stuff, like his Kitten's Got Claws. It's a little bit of the Chuck Berry, and then definitely some, like you said, some Jimmy Page in there too. And again, right after this is when he decides to start doing Coverdale and Page. So
I was trying to remember what year that album came out.
I think it was 91 or 92.
I wanted to say 91, but I didn't go look it up. But I know it wasn't long after this. And I know they took a big, long break, which is kind of why we stopped here with Whitesnake, because they didn't put out another album as Whitesnake, or Dave didn't, with a whole different band until 1997. And it just...
93 was Coverdale Page.
Okay. This type of music had totally passed everybody by 1997. Yeah. It doesn't fit there. The songwriting is way worse than even this one.
Yeah.
And then all the stuff after that, like there's some really good songs in some of the rest of the Whitesnake catalog. Like I want to say there's another, I don't even know how many. I want to say there's another like 6 or 7 albums. There's a lot. There's a whole nother, we can do a whole nother podcast, but it's just not a lot of it's very good. Like there's a couple good songs here and there, but not a whole lot. So I want to say the one that came out with the last one in 2023, I think it was called Forever. I think that's the best one of the bunch. And even that one, I think I liked maybe 3 or 4 of the tracks on there. And the rest of it was just kind of skipper worthy for me. But that was the best of all those other albums. So, but anyway,
the last one that I heard, I just a comment. The last one I wrote was something or listened to was Purple something.
Yeah.
Might have been the Purple album. That was bad. Like that was not good. I was really, really glad that that we were just going to stop here, because I don't know what Forevermore and that Flesh and Blood, I don't know what those sound like, but that Purple album I heard, I was like, no, like that's not good. So, and just a
2015 the Purple album, and I must be thinking of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, there's the one, and then I think he came here and played it. I kind of regretted not going. I wanted to buy tickets. He played at the Agora as Whitesnake.
Yeah.
But it was like 2022, 2023. It was after COVID, but I watched clips, and this like Dave wasn't even sing. He had backup singers, and like Dave wasn't doing a lot of singing himself. And I was like, when I got into them, they were already huge, right? I didn't get to see them in clubs or anything. And I really, really was beating myself up that I didn't go to that. But I think there are clips from the Agora, too. And after watching those I'm like, I'm really glad I didn't go.
Yeah.
Because, I saw them a whole bunch of times between 1987 and 1991, 1992, before the Coverdale Page thing. I saw them a whole bunch of times. So it just wasn't worth, like, kind of ruining that, I guess. But
sure.
Like, it'd have been cool to see at the Agora, I guess. But maybe if he was 5-10 years younger. But he was kind of struggling at that point. So, but anyway. All right. So my overall, I have number 8, the first album, Trouble. Number 7, the second album, Love Hunter. Number 6, the third album, Ready and Willing. Number 5, the fourth album, Come and Get It. Number 4, the fifth album, Saints and Sinners. And then Slip of the Tongue. At number 3, Slide It In. At number 2, and the absolute ridiculous greatness of 1987 at number 1. What'd you have?
Yeah, we're actually pretty close on this one. It's not really all that off. Number 8, Trouble. Number 7, Come and Get It. Number 6, I had Love Hunter. Number 5, Saints and Sinners. Number 4, Slip of the Tongue. Number 3, Ready and Willing. Number 2, Slide It In. Number 1, Whitesnake in 1987. So,
nice. Yeah, Ready and Willing, I have at 6, and you had at 3. But even that one, I don't think our letter grade rating was too far off.
No, it's not.
Kind of funny.
Again, I guess I just kind of rewarded them for doing the rock, this blues rock version. I think they did that one really well.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of put myself in the shoes of a blues rock guy and said, this is
Mhm.
what I want to listen to. So
Yeah, that
to
makes
me,
sense if you felt like that was the best of that style, because
Yeah.
you're right. Slip of the Tongue is the third best of these three of this style of music
Right.
that they're playing here. So,
But
yep, totally makes sense.
Yeah, you could definitely move 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and it wouldn't hurt my ranking. It wouldn't really not represent what I thought of it. So
Yeah, but yeah, really enjoyable overall.
good stuff.
It really was. At first I wasn't sure what to expect, because I know coming out of Deep Purple they were different than what I grew to love later in their catalog. But I wasn't sure if I was really going to like it. But I did. I liked it more than I thought I would. At least for Trouble and Love Hunter, the stuff I hadn't heard, but I liked it more than I thought. So, and even Snake Bite, since I went back and I thought that was the first album. So I even enjoy that one too, which we weren't even going to do that one.
Right.
But it was good.
All right. We'll put
Sweet.
a pin in Whitesnake.
Yep.
So next week, or whenever we're doing next, I don't know. We'll have to check the schedules to see. We got Cavs playoff stuff and all kind of stuff coming up, and whatever. So we have X coming up next. So I don't know that there's much we're going to be able to do with X.
Wow.
So I think we're going to probably do one of our coin flip episodes, and we'll see what we go with for next time. Usually we pick bands with letters that have bands in it. So
S.
Yep.
There's a few that have a ton. T. There's a few that have a ton. So we'll probably pick from there, and just for pod number 72.
Yep.
For X. I can't really
extra or whatever we do with it.
Yeah. It would be. This is our extra special episode of whatever we decide to pick.
Yep.
I think it's your turn, so I'll let you pick.
All right. Well,
so
all right. Well, I will.
You pick one, and then we'll figure that out, and we'll be back probably next Tuesday, but maybe it'll be Wednesday. I'd like to try to get back to a weekly cadence if I could.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of I have tickets to the fourth home game of the Cavs, so if they get to Game 7, that'll be Sunday, and it won't interfere. If not, then it could be Game 1, which could be Tuesday,
right?
Could be Wednesday, or it could be Game 3, which could be later in the week, and it wouldn't affect Tuesday. So who knows? But we'll try to get it in. I don't know what your work schedule is like, but we'll figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, we'll absolutely figure it out. But everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Two Bobs Cast, and we will see you in the next one.
Rock on!
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.